Hi everybody, this is Lindsay from Winding Road Crochet. Today I'm going to show you 3 quick and easy beginner-friendly crochet patterns that only use single crochet. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Let's go ahead and start with this easy coffee cozy. You're going to need just a little bit of worsted weight yarn and a size H crochet hook. Also check out my blog to find this cute little printable. To get started, simply make a slip knot. I'm going to wrap around my fingers and then just pull the 2 loops down to make a slip knot. Put it on your hook, and then we are going to chain 35. So once your chain is complete, we are going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. And then we're simply going to single crochet in every chain across this row. You'll have a total of 34 single crochet. When you reach the end of your row, you will simply chain 1 as your turning chain and turn your work. Now for row 2, we're simply going to single crochet in each stitch of the previous row. When you reach the end of row 2, all you're going to do is repeat row 2 by chaining 1 and then single crocheting in each stitch across. Continue repeating row 2 until you have a total of 12 rows. After row 12, we're simply going to fasten off, but make sure you leave yourself a nice yarn tail. So clip your yarn and then just yarn over your hook and pull that tail through the very last loop and pull it tight to create a knot. So here is our rectangle that we've made, and now we are going to turn it into a cozy. We're going to fold it in half, and using a needle and our yarn end, we are going to whip stitch this edge together. So thread your yarn end through a needle, and to whip stitch we're just going to go in one side and out the other, in this side and out the other, and just continue doing that until you reach the bottom row. When you get to the end of the row, you can use your 2 yarn ends and simply knot them together, and then you'll be able to weave in your ends, and your little cup cozy will be done. This little cozy makes a great gift or stocking stuffer, or is simply nice to have for yourself. You can make a few for someone you love. So the next project we're going to make is a very simple coaster. It uses the same yarn and the same size hook. To start, you're going to create a slip knot, and this time we are going to chain 15. Once you have your 15 chain, we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And we will single crochet in every chain across this row. Once you finish row 1, you will just chain 1 and turn your work, and then single crochet in each stitch from the previous row. When you are done with the row, we are simply going to repeat row 2 by chaining 1 and single crocheting in each stitch across. Continue repeating row 2 until you have a total of 15 rows. Once you completed row 15, we are just going to fasten off. So clip your yarn, yarn over, and pull through that last loop, and pull tight to create a knot. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work with a different coaster, but we are going to cut out a piece of felt that is just slightly smaller than our coaster. And then using a yarn needle, and if you'd like a contrasting color of yarn, we are simply going to use what we call a running stitch to stitch this onto our coaster. This will help hold our coaster nice and flat, as well as prevent any leakage through the crocheting. Now you do have an option to whip stitch this or do a running stitch. I just really like the look of the running stitch, which is the stitch I'm doing here. You're just going to push your yarn back and forth, going in and out the opposite side each time you make a stitch, and it just makes a whole bunch of little tiny dash stitches. But if you'd rather have the yarn come over the top here, you can do what we call the whip stitch, which is what we used on our coffee cozy. Once you've worked all the way around your coaster, All you have to do is knot the two ends, and since this is on the underside, you can hide these threads into your crochet work, but I just went ahead and clipped them and called it a day. And then here is your little coaster. Make a set of them and they make a really great and useful gift. So the last pattern we're going to make is a very simple pillow cover. It uses a thicker yarn and a larger hook. To get started, you're going to make a slip knot and put the loop on your hook. And this time we are going to chain 33. Once your chain is complete, we are going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook and simply single crochet in each chain across. At the end of row 1, you will simply chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 2, we will simply single crochet in each stitch across. Just like the other projects we did, you will continue repeating row 1 till you have approximately 76 rows. For this pattern, we will be using 3 skeins of yarn, but before you use up your last skein of yarn, make sure you go ahead and pull off 2 yards of yarn and save that for sewing up at the end. If you don't reach a total of 76 rows, that's totally okay. It will most likely just stretch to still fit your pillow. When you come to the end of a skein of yarn, make sure you leave about 6 inches or so. Grab a new skein of yarn and simply yarn over it wherever you are at in your stitches, and then continue crocheting on with the new skein of yarn. We'll weave in those ends later. When you finish your last row, or you've ran out of yarn, just fasten off, pulling your yarn end through the last loop and pulling tight to tighten it. Now we're ready to sew up our pillow cover in a way that we can easily remove the pillow and wash the cover if we need to. What I'm going to do is find the very center of my pillow cover. I'm going to do this by folding the pillowcase in half. So once I fold it in half and find that center, then I will open it back up, and in my case, I'm just going to remember that this yellow line here is the center of my work. So now that we know where the center is, we're just going to take both ends and we're going to fold them in and fold them so they are just about 1 inch past the center. So right now they're both at the center of my piece, and then I'm going to take this under piece and pull it over 1 inch, and then I'm going to take this top piece and pull it over 2 inches or 1 inch from the center piece. And then now all I have to do is take these 2 open edges here, and I am going to whip stitch them closed, making sure that I go through all 3 sections in the center and both sides on the top and bottom. This is going to give us a nice little pocket to be able to put our pillow in. So I'm just taking that piece of yarn that I asked you to set aside, and I'm simply whip stitching those 2 pieces together right along the side, just closing up, again with a whip stitch. When you get to that very center section where the 3 are overlapping, just make sure when you whip stitch that you whip stitch through all 3 layers, pulling tight so that you don't have any holes in the side. So whip stitch both sides and fasten off, weaving in your ends, and your pillow cover will be finished. So here is the pocket in our finished pillow cover. I'm just going to take this 16 by 16 inch pillow form and I'm going to stuff it into our pillow cover. Just stuff that into the corners. If you need to, you can definitely stretch these 2 pieces so that they cover each other nicely. This will be on the back side of your work, or if you'd like, you could even put some buttons to have it button closed. But here you go. Here is your finished pillowcase. This is a great project to use a really pretty yarn with. And you can make as many as you like to help decorate your house, and when you want, you can pull the pillow out so that you could put a different case on it and have seasonal pillow covers. I hope you enjoy these beginner patterns, and keep an eye out because I will be putting out 3 more videos with beginner friendly patterns. And as always, thank you so much for watching.